Well, welcome once again to Calaveras Living. Now, you're seeing the cover of a brand new book that's out, and of course the title you can see there, Cruising Panama's Canal. It was written by Sonny and Al Lockwood, and they're here with us today. It's a story of leaving from San Francisco and sailing for 17 days, of course, through the Panama Canal. And it's an entertaining book, already getting great response from a lot of people, including Amazon.com. And it's good to see you. And of course, you folks out there, you can realize who's Sonny and who's Al. Good to see you both. You lived here for quite a while, right?
I've been in the county close to 30 years.
Uh-huh. But you moved to the Bay Area.
We just moved. I needed more medical care, so we moved down to the Bay Area.
Oh, I know a great veterinarian here. Well, it's good to see you both. And of course, Al, you've had many experiences in your life. You're a great photographer. You've been in ministry. You've been an engineer, and you're, what, 210 to have all those careers?
Jack of all trades and a master of none.
No, you must be doing very well in a lot of them. And of course, Sonny, most of your career has been actually writing.
That's right.
So,
yeah, I was a reporter here for the Union Democrat.
Yeah, you wrote some great columns.
Yeah, I'm still writing a column for the Union Democrat. It comes out every Friday. It's called Calaveras Treasures. But I was a reporter for 6.5 years covering Calaveras County.
Okay. Now, before you took the cruise, did you plan to write a book about it, or that came a little later?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about how this started. We were in a terrible car wreck. We were sitting at a red light, and a texting driver slammed into us and totaled our car, totaled her car, ruined our summer.
That would.
Luckily, we weren't killed, but we realized, in a moment, we could be gone, and we had better start doing some of the things we'd always dreamed of doing. Mm-hmm. And our number one thing on the bucket list was Panama Canal. So that was the background of it, the car wreck, and the realizing that we'd better do some things we've been dreaming of. And while we did some research and read some books, I just got the idea, maybe we should write a book about this. Let's see if we have an interesting enough cruise that we could write a book.
So it was in your mind?
It was in my mind, that's right.
Okay. Now you have been getting a good response from people already?
Oh yeah, I can't believe the reviews that we've gotten up on Amazon.
How do you get those reviews? You send the book to them?
I have no idea where most of these reviews are coming.
Oh,
because evidently they found the book and they read it and they left a review, and these are a lot of top reviewers, top 50, top 100 reviewers at Amazon.
They read a lot of books.
I guess they do.
Okay, look, let me read one of the reviews. You got to put my glasses on. Getting old, this turning 80 got to me. It says, after reading this book, I want to go on a cruise. Not only do I want to go on a cruise, I hope to run into the Lockwoods on the cruise. They sound like they would be just wonderful to get to know and spend time with. Their writing is inviting, funny, contagious, and just flat out a joy to read. And that's one of the top reviewers from Amazon.com. Well, there's so many things I could ask you, but let's look at a quick video. And this is a collection of photos you took, right, Al?
Quick collection of actually 80 pictures that were taken all the way from the beginning to the end. Gives a fairly good idea of all the places we've been and the things we've seen.
On the cruise.
On the cruise.
On the cruise, right.
Yeah, reading in the book, there are more than 1,400 pictures. Now, what's this?
Now, this begins in San Francisco, which is where our ship departed. It was a beautiful, clear day in the city. And there we are pulling out past Alcatraz Island and going underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. First time I'd been underneath it in 50 years. It was just a gorgeous day. Now, of course, this to me is the highlight of the cruise, dessert.
That's what I read.
And here we are parked in the berth in San Diego. Again, another dessert, creme brulee. Oh, it was wonderful. And of course, another dessert. Now, you might get an idea what my focus is. This is the bar outside the pool. And of course, here I am recovering from eating too many desserts up on the ship's deck. This is a cooking class that we went to. Sonny had a lot of fun with the cooking class, made some wonderful, wonderful dishes. Here we are stopped in Mexico. Wonderful place.
4 stops in Mexico, huh?
4 stops, yes, that's correct.
Not in Mexico.
Mexican street scenes, beautiful, beautiful place to visit. Very friendly people. Tied up at the pier again. And here we are sitting on the beach looking at this immense ship in the background. The ship's pool was a popular place to hang out. Here we are again in Mexico, and looking at the park, we found a wonderful parrot eyeballing us from a branch of the trees up there. These shipping boats are just absolutely picturesque. A chapel by the beach. This is called the Eggshell Cathedral, after its pattern. Beautiful old Spanish-style glass windows.
In Costa Rica.
This is the coffee plantation in Costa Rica. And after the coffee plantation, we went to a botanical garden. You have never seen so many beautiful orchids in your entire life in one place. And it was there that we also found a butterfly farm. What would you call it, a farm?
Garden.
I don't know, beautiful
Butterfly
place.
garden.
This is me again by a banana tree. The art of the area is immense. These carts were on display for sale. And now we've arrived at the entrance of the Panama Canal. You can see what a big city it is alongside of it.
I was shocked at how industrial it was. I mean,
Not just the jungle.
no, it wasn't just the jungle. And this is about a ship in the other lane next to us. It looks like a building, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
The locks are parallel so that there's
Two ships.
two ships side by side. And this is us pulling into one lock with the ship ahead of us in the lock. Now you have to realize that this is like a gigantic bathtub. It's 110 feet long and 1,000 feet long, 110 feet wide. We barely fit.
Our ship just barely fit in those little
Yeah, that's
chambers.
except for very little clearance.
This is the Centennial Bridge, built to kind of relieve the traffic on the roads.
And here we are going through the Calaveras Cut. It's called the Galliard Cut now. It's right through the Continental Divide, so we sail right through the mountains on this ship.
You can imagine a ship going through mountains. Just an incredible sight. This, of course,
There's more of
is
that.
the lake which is formed by the locks. This all used to be pristine jungle, and now it's 85 feet deep in water. And here we are approaching the end of our passage through the canal. The fireboat had to come out and give us a spray.
And we have another set of locks to go through, this time taking
And
us
another
down.
dessert or an entree?
More, this is salad.
Or-
This is an
or
entree.
salad.
We focused on the dessert. I focused on the desserts. You can see.
As you can see, here he is.
Yes, you can see this. This is Cartagena, Colombia, a wonderful old colonial town. Beautiful architecture from the late 1500s. And a very interesting museum dedicated to the Inquisition.
Which I found very creepy.
Lots of street art. You can see the sculptures here.
Also, I want to point out to people, seeing these pictures, there are a lot of photos in the book, too. So
Yes,
Yes.
it's
many
not
of them
just,
are.
to read, but a lot of things to look at, too.
Yeah, we had fun picking out the pictures for the book.
I would guess
Yeah.
we took, as we were talking earlier, more than 1,400 pictures.
That's right,
yeah.
that's right.
Two people with cameras. Now this was the highlight of the cruise. This
For
was the
Al.
chocolate extravaganza. This is something that Holland America is noted for. And here we are at our last stop
In the Bahamas.
in the Bahamas. Beautiful, beautiful beach.
Holland America has its own island there?
They have
Yes.
their own little island, yes, which they're busily developing for tourist application, and it is a beautiful place.
Now, looking, I see desserts, I see the Panama Canal, I see beautiful scenes. What, of course, I should know the answer to this, but what impressed you most? The cruise itself, the Panama Canal, or your desserts?
Speaking as an engineer, I was most impressed with the canal because the lock is so big and the ship is so big, and it just fit in that very small space just perfectly. And the captain didn't kind of go in real gently. He steamed right in and stopped, and they raised up the ship and we went on. It was amazing to watch him do it.
So it impressed you even more than the desserts?
Well,
Not necessarily.
there, yes,
Of course, you had, of 17 days, it takes one day to go through the canal, right?
that's right. It was one entire
So
full
you had
day.
16 days of desserts.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you, he used those 16 days to eat everything you could possibly imagine for dessert, and sometimes 2 or 3,
Wow.
and write about it. He writes about the ice cream and the chocolate and the pudding and the tiramisu and the cookies. I mean, there's no end. That's what Al specialized in
You
this
see,
book.
they say that a mine is a terrible thing to waste. Well, on a cruise, a waste is a terrible thing to mine. You know,
You
I
mind
figure you're going
yours.
to pick up at least a pound a day, and fortunately, I've got the metabolism, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, you're doing very well. If I had done that, I'd be sitting here in 2 chairs. And Sonny, you said you only gained 1 pound?
I gained 1 pound. I was sorry that I gained a pound. I was determined not to gain
But
anything.
you worked out each day.
Well,
Or
I did.
most
I did
days.
some exercising every day, and I used the stairways, and I didn't gorge on desserts. I don't have a sweet tooth. I enjoyed desserts,
Good.
but I didn't gorge.
Now, how did you decide to kind of mix a narrative of what you were doing and the fun you were having, the things you were doing each day, the short excursions and all that, with advice to people who might read the book about what to do, what not to do, how to save a little money, how to spend it wisely?
Did you think it worked?
Yes, in
Yeah.
fact, I'd like to go on a cruise with you guys.
Well, you know, I knew I knew that most people might want to know this information. You know, what do you pay for on a cruise? What do you
Sure.
get, and what don't you get? And but I also know that they want a story, and this is a story of our cruise. So it's a personal story. It's a memoir.
Sure.
But we can weave in all this other good information, so that they don't plod through it. The information is sprinkled throughout the book, both about cruising in general and about the Panama Canal.
Yeah, and you also even gave facts about the ship itself. The ship's name was Zuiderdam, is that right?
Cider down.
Zuiderdam.
Zuiderdam. Okay, I just didn't want to say that word.
Yeah, no, it's the Zuiderdam.
And how many passengers did it have, generally?
How many passengers?
1950.
Yeah.
Crew was about 3,000, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It was big. It was a huge crew. But it did not feel cramped. It was a mid-sized ship by today's standards, big enough to have all the amenities that you want, but small enough that you get to meet people after a while, and you could find your way around without getting lost.
Well, 17 days is considerable length of time. That's good.
And it went by just instantly.
Yeah. And of course, when you said all the amenities, I mean, many restaurants, many bars, many activities, all kinds of things to do.
There was something to do every half hour. Absolutely, from like 7 in the morning till after midnight.
And practically all of it included in your fare.
That's right.
Yeah.
Some things weren't, but most things
Yes,
were.
you can spend lots of money if you want to.
Yeah.
But if you want to just stick with what you paid for your fare, you can have just a wonderful time. There's all sorts of exercises and exercising things in the gym and the pools and all of that kind of stuff. There are classes that are free. I took a couple of computer classes, and we took the cooking class. Now, we paid for the cooking class because it takes food.
Sure.
So we did pay for the cooking class, but it was a wonderful class. There's free dancing classes. There's
shows
craft
at night,
classes.
right? Professional shows
There's
at night.
professional shows at night in the big theater, and there are cabaret. On this ship, they had a cabaret, and then in each bar, there's live music of some kind. It could be jazz, it could be classical guitar, it could be singing. And there were a number of bars. Now, we're teetotalers, so I can't say a lot about the bars, but every bar had live music. And it's all included in the price.
Well, and you obtained access to some of the crew members, right, to get to interview them?
I did. I contacted Holland America, told them we were thinking of doing a book, and I said I'd like to talk to the chef, if possible, the head chef, the executive chef. And we set that up. And then I also interviewed the lifestyle guy, and we set that up. So I learned a lot, and it's in the book, about what it takes to feed everybody, how many tons of food this guy orders and how it comes
You
in.
had some of the statistics in
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of food.
And I certainly, on top of all the meat and the vegetables and the potatoes and all that, because of Al's sweet tooth, I also found out about how many pounds of chocolate and how many eggs and flour and cream and all the goodies for the desserts.
Yeah.
How did you both happen to select Holland America? I know it's one of the leading lines, but how did you select that rather than some other line that goes through the canal?
Two reasons. Number one is this was a repositioning cruise which went from San Francisco to Florida, so it was really convenient for us. So number two, Holland America caters to a more mature clientele, and that's exactly what we wanted.
So you could sleep as quiet at night, you'd go to sleep?
Mostly.
Except for the shows, you said.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well,
It depends where you're positioned in the ship.
that's right, where your room is.
We
And-
were not overwhelmed with a herd of screaming children.
Okay. Or
or
screaming.
teens or anything like that. It was
Yeah.
mainly, it's October and 17 days in October. It was mainly an older, mature group.
Yeah.
And that gave us a lot of time to get acquainted with other people, and there weren't screaming children and screaming,
Did the
whatever.
actual passage, you being an engineer, as one of your abilities, did that go by too quickly for you?
I wouldn't say so.
I mean, it was reasonably, the time was not too long, too short.
It was, I think, just the perfect amount of time.
Yeah.
I've been on a number of cruises before, and 17 days just lets you completely disengage. And the nice thing about a cruise, of course, is you unpack once and that's it.
Yeah.
So for really settling down, that was just exactly the right length of time.
You chose not. You said in the book, and I'm not sure I understood the expression, you said you and Al had been 130 times around the sun.
If you,
What did you
well,
mean by that?
how long does it take to go around the sun?
Well, it
Takes
takes
a
the
year.
Earth a year, yeah.
Okay, well, our ages added up when we wrote the book.
I know it takes 1 year for the
1
world to
year,
go around the sun.
sure.
Okay.
So, but what, in your question, did you mean, did we think we went through the canal too fast or too slow?
Panama Canal cruise, and you have 17 days, and only 1 day is the passage through the canal, and I think, well, that happens kind of quickly, and maybe you needed to go through more slowly. Of course, the ship has to go through it at the pace it has to go through, but I was just wondering if, you didn't get as much of the canal as you wanted.
Well, I was very surprised at how long it took. In
Oh,
my
sure.
imagination, I had no idea. The canal's about 50 miles.
Yeah, something like that.
that.
Yeah.
50 miles long. And it took between 8 and 10 hours to go through that.
Okay. You see, got very crowded out on the bow, right?
Oh, yes.
People wanting to see the procedure.
They want to
Oh,
get
yeah.
out to the rail where we got a spot.
Yeah.
To
Now,
be
I
able to
asked
see.
Al early, but what impressed you the most? Do you remember the cruise part or the canal part the best?
I liked the whole thing. The whole cruise was because of the canal.
Yeah.
That was the purpose of the cruise. And the canal was spectacular. It was spectacular. And we went through it exactly the way all the ships have been going through it
Yeah,
from the beginning of time. 1914, the first ship went through, and we went through exactly the same way. No computers. It's all the water is all gravity fed. I mean, it was fascinating.
I think it's hard for the average person to realize that the Pacific Ocean is higher than the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
You think sea level is sea level.
Yeah.
Well, how could that, where does that change around the tip? I don't know.
I don't know.
What, from an engineer standpoint, what happens there?
Well, the canal itself has a set of 3 locks at one end and a set of 3 locks at the other end. And so that compensates for any overall difference between the Pacific and the Atlantic. It's a matter of a few feet. And it's, of course, it's rather weather dependent anyway.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have noticed it.
You put some history in there too about how the French started in the 1880s, I guess, and how it failed and how much it cost, and unfortunately how many lives it cost. And the United States coming in later and finishing the construction. Now, a good question is, how do you intend, besides on Amazon.com, to market the book?
Well, of course, it's going to be available. It is available right now on Amazon.com.
Okay.
They can get it in paperback or as an ebook. But we're often around signing at book signing parties, so we'll be around.
So we'll get you up here once in a while?
Once in a while, we'll be up here to sign our book. You
And
bet.
that will be in the paper, I guess,
It would be in the paper.
or maybe on KVML or one of the radio stations
Might be,
for a
that's right.
special event.
We'll definitely let people know.
Well, it's quite a book. Now, what are some of the things we didn't cover that people out there might be interested in? You know, aboard ship.
Well, I would say one of the things that's just wonderful about cruising is romance.
Is what?
Romance.
Romance.
Yes, I mean,
Now
it's
cut
just,
that out. This is a family show.
it's just wonderful to be with the person you love with no stress. You don't have to worry about cooking or cleaning up after yourself. You don't have to worry about anything. You just enjoy the food, you enjoy the shows, you enjoy each other, you enjoy the friendships you make and the conversations you have, and there is no stress whatsoever.
And enjoy the bathrobes, I hear, too.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
bathrobes come with your room.
And they put something on your pillow each night,
Oh,
right? Besides your head?
a little delicious little chocolate every night on the pillow.
How did you resist going to the late, I know that on most ships they have it, I'm sure, on Holland America too, but the late night, buffets. How did you avoid that?
We didn't.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you see someone at 10 o'clock at night who's weaving down the corridor, he hasn't been into the sherry. He's
Yeah.
trying to juggle 4 desserts stacked up and get his room key at the same time. The desserts, the whole buffet is available. You could eat anything you want virtually any time.
And you can have anything brought to your room too.
Yes.
Yeah, room service is included in the price of your cruise, which is very nice.
And when you occasionally order breakfast, I know when you didn't want to get up in time or go to a restaurant, that would arrive hot?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it'd be great. Yep, exactly
I
what we
think when
ordered.
people bring it, from the galley or wherever it is up to your room, I mean, that can cool things off.
Oh, no, it's very
They have
hot.
some way of doing
Very
that.
hot. Yeah. And there's little coffee shops on board and,
A nice
Oh,
library, you
wonderful.
said, too.
oh, beautiful library.
Yeah.
We love the library. We always read a bunch of books when we go on a cruise.
And the whole ship is air-conditioned?
Yes.
Inside,
Except when you're outdoors, of course.
inside it
Yeah.
is.
We were really fortunate in that regard because usually the Panama Canal is just pouring.
Oh,
And
torrential rain.
we got spritzed a little bit, but essentially we had perfect weather the entire voyage.
Some of the tips you said, I having been the cruise director on a luxury liner back and forth to Hawaii years ago in the 60s, I know some people did overspend because they were so, I don't know, concerned, I guess, with the appearance of something that they'd get an upper deck outside stateroom, and I'm thinking, why waste all that
That's
money
right.
when you can save a great deal of money, save it for shore excursions
Yes.
or whatever, because you're seldom, except to sleep and shower, seldom in your room.
Exactly.
Well, we signed up with the least expensive room, which is an inside room, has no windows, and it was just fine. We only used it for sleeping and changing clothes, and we were on a budget,
Yeah.
and we stuck to our budget, and we had a fabulous time.
Well, that's really wise, too. I mean, there's so many, of course, we didn't talk too much about shore excursions. Some of those can be overly expensive, some of them can be very worthwhile, and
That's
some
right.
are not worthwhile.
That's right. That's
So
right.
you kind of give some tips on that, too.
They do usually do a presentation prior to the arrival in any port to talk about what you can expect to see, things to watch out for, things that you should do. Of course, they're trying to sell the shore excursion, but very often you'll discover that you can just get off the ship and meander around.
Yeah. So you did go on some walking.
Oh, we
Yeah.
walked around on almost every single shore excursion. We bought 2 excursions, but all the other things, we just walked around with our cameras, we walked around with other people, we just had a good time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end of a cruise voyage, you get your bill all in one lump sum, right?
That's right,
Right.
that's right.
But that seemed to work out pretty well for you guys. And
No
Worked out
problem.
well.
We had a good time.
We are sure that some people fell over when they saw it, because if you're going a lot to the fancy restaurants and the spa, and you're doing a lot of shore excursions,
Yeah.
it could be a big hit, but it doesn't have to be.
Those are the same people who get their credit card bill each year, each month rather, and they've overspent, said, where did I spend this?
Yeah.
But, so we will get you up here once in a while for signings. And
Yes, you will.
you get any local bookstores you think might carry this eventually?
I'm not sure. I'm going to talk to a couple. But no matter where you are, you can always get it on Amazon.com.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just send it to you quickly.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you select a company? I know you're, of course, I know the answer to your travel agent because we know her from church.
Oh, you do. Oh, you do. Yeah.
But how did you go about selecting the printers and everything?
Oh, we did print on demand.
Uh-huh.
So we went with a company called Create Space. And it took, I worked on the book, we worked on the book for a little over a year. And then it took about another 5 months to get the design and the editing and the printing and the binding, you know, the whole bit.
So, I should point out to you out there too that when I talk about writing, I talked to Sonny about writing, but both Sonny writes part of it maybe like 70% and Al writes like 30% or something like that. And his writing is all in italics. So you can always tell when Al's writing and you can tell when Sonny's writing. But you specifically like to kind of space it out that way?
Yeah, and he focuses a lot on the desserts. Anybody who cares about food and desserts will love Al's contribution to this book.
I like those, but I just couldn't do it the way he does it.
No, me neither.
But, and thanks for all your photographic work too. That makes it even more, you know, like the cuts we had earlier in the show tonight.
Yeah, the photos?
Yeah, it really gives people an idea of what they might see and experience.
The core problem, of course, is trying to hold down the number of pictures that you can take, particularly if you've got a digital camera.
Yes,
Oh,
click off pretty
I
fast.
mean, you could easily run 200 or 300 a day without the slightest problem. Everything looks wonderful.
Well, that's good. Well, in closing, this is the book again. I'll hold it up. In fact, I always like to hold it in front of my face because I look better then. But it's called Cruising Panama's Canal. And what the subtitle again was pretty funny, as I recall. It says Savoring 5,000 nautical miles and 500,000 decadent calories. Did you come up with that?
She did.
Oh, you did?
She's right.
That's good. Well, it's good to see you both. I wish you well. Hope it
Thanks.
does very well. And also, maybe you'll take another cruise and write another book.
Yes.
It's always a
Well, that's good.
possibility.
Okay, that's Sonny and Al Lockwood. And if you get a chance, go on Amazon.com, and I guarantee you'll have a good time reading that book. And we'll see you next time on Calaveras Living.